Hi, this is AJ, your English teacher, and today I want to tell you a story about one of my early experiences as a new English teacher. And the reason I want to tell you this story is that this story really shows why I developed the effortless English system. It was one of the key experiences in my life that led me to search for better teaching methods for teaching spoken English. So this story begins, several years ago, many years ago actually, at one of my early jobs as an English teacher. In fact, I was not a full English teacher. I was just an assistant English teacher. And I was teaching in Japan, in a small village in northern Japan. And I was helping to teach middle school students. And so there was a Japanese English teacher, so a Japanese person was the main teacher. She was the main teacher, and I was the assistant teacher. And mostly I just sat there and watched her teach and smiled a lot. And sometimes she had me, read something from a book or something like that. So I really didn't do very much teaching. But I remember the first day of classes, So the Japanese teacher of English, and I walk into this class of middle school students. And because this was a small town, the students were really, really sweet. Very, very, very nice, kind, wonderful students. So we walk in, we go to the front of the class, and I look out, and I see all these young middle school students, and they're sitting at their desk very eagerly. They all have little notebooks and little pencils and pens arranged very neatly on their desk. And they're all looking up at the teacher and at me with these big eyes, smiling. And of course, they're very curious about me because I was this strange foreigner from America. And because it's a tiny little village in Japan, they didn't usually see foreign people. So here they have this blue-eyed foreign guy in their class. And they're all very excited and they're looking at each other and very eager and excited to start English class. So the teacher, the main teacher, who was Japanese, she stood up and, she said some stuff in Japanese, and all the kids stood up and they all bowed to us. And then, we bowed back to them. They sat down and then they picked up their pens and pencils to take notes. And the teacher grabbed a piece of chalk and wrote an English sentence on the board. I don't remember what the exact sentence was, but let's say the sentence was, the boy gave a pen to the girl. So she writes this on the board. The boy gave a pen to the girl. Or to a girl. So the students they're all looking up very eager. And then they all grab their pens and they write the sentence in their notebook. They're ready for English, right? Ready to learn English. They're smiling and eager. So then the Japanese teacher turns and begins talking in Japanese to the students. So she's saying, I can't speak much Japanese, so that's my impression of Japanese. So she's speaking in Japanese. Talking in Japanese. And I'm sitting to the side just watching, not understanding anything. So as the teacher's talking, the kids are taking notes. They're writing very fast in their notebooks. They're all looking down and very serious, taking notes. And this goes on for, several minutes. Then the teacher walks over and grabs like a blue piece of chalk and circles the word the, right? The boy. Just circles the word the. And then she writes something above it in Japanese characters. I don't know what it was. And then the students, write down more in their notebook. And then the teacher she says, the, and then she starts talking in Japanese again. Japanese, more Japanese. The students are writing and taking notes, writing some more. The teacher just keeps talking in Japanese, talking in Japanese. And I'm sitting on the side, just watching all of this and thinking, I don't understand anything. What's happening? What is she saying? It's only one word. What could she possibly be saying about this one word, talking for such a long time? But she continued and continued and continued. And then finally, after, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, she stopped, grabbed another piece of chalk, and underlined the word boy. She says, boy, boy, boy des. It's kind of, des is Japanese, D-E-S-U, the Japanese word. And she says, boy, boy des. And she says, boy, subject. And then, Japanese, 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 Japanese. And she talks and she talks and she talks. She points to the word boy, Japanese, Japanese, Japanese. Then she grabs a piece of chalk and she draws an arrow from the word the and then pointing to the word boy. And she writes something in Japanese above the arrow, and then she continues talking more in Japanese. Japanese, 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 Japanese. Talk, 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 talk about Japanese. And then finally the kids are taking notes, filling pages of notes. Next page, they're still writing and writing and writing, looking so serious and eager. I'm just sitting there, not understanding anything. And then, of course, the teacher grabs another piece of chalk of a different color, and she underlines the word, let's say, what I say was gave. And she draws a little V, right, for verb. And she says, verb des. And then she says, so she's saying, this is a verb. And then she starts talking in Japanese again. Japanese, 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 on and on and on and on and on and on. And the kids are writing notes, writing. And I'm looking totally confused. And she draws an arrow she circles the and boy together and draws an arrow to the verb. And she keeps talking and talking and talking. And this goes on and on and on and on and on for the whole class. The whole class about one English sentence. And of course, this whole class was in Japanese. It was 99% in the Japanese language, and maybe 1%, one little sentence, in English. Here I was, a native speaker of English, meaning I was born in an English-speaking country. I learned to speak English as a baby, all of my life speaking English, totally fluent in English. An English teacher, and I could not understand the English class. Couldn't understand it because the whole thing was in Japanese. So I was totally confused and bewildered by this. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't the only one. Now, this is kind of a funny story when you think of it, right? This woman's talking in Japanese and writing and all the students are taking pages and pages and pages of notes on one sentence. I mean, the woman talked for like 10 minutes about the word the. I'm thinking, what could she possibly be saying about that one word? How can she talk so long about just one word? What is she saying? I had no idea. I still have no idea. Why would you need to explain that one word for 10 or 15 minutes? I don't know. But here's the tragic part. Because, while it's funny, it's also a tragedy. Because what happened was that every single class, every day, was just like this. Every class was in Japanese most of the time. The teacher would draw a new sentence, and then she would draw all these circles and arrows and lines, and she'd write in Japanese all over the board, and the students would take notes and notes and notes and notes and notes, most of them in Japanese, about this English sentence. And as the days went on, and then weeks went by, the kids were not eager anymore. They didn't seem so happy anymore. They lost that. Instead, they became more and more confused, more and more frustrated, and more stressed. And then I watched as their stress level became higher and higher and higher, especially when the teacher started to give them tests. Of course, these tests were mostly grammatical, so that they would be given these English sentences, and they'd have to analyze them and discuss the grammar and write all this stuff in Japanese, and have to memorize long, huge lists of vocabulary translated into Japanese and back into English. And the kids became bored, confused, frustrated, shy, and stressed. Very, very stressed. And I watched them lose over time. I watched them lose their natural eagerness and curiosity to learn. Because the first day, their eyes were wide open, they were happy, and they really were curious and wanted to learn. And when they saw me, they really wanted to talk to me. Here I was, this interesting, strange person from another country. They were excited about the idea of learning to communicate with me in English on the first day. But then they became more and more frustrated. And they would try to talk to me sometimes, the ones that were not shy. Most of them were very, very shy, but a few who were a little more bold would try to talk to me, but they couldn't, and they would be so frustrated. Because, of course, in class, they got almost no English input. They almost never heard me speak. I mean, I was never used, really, as a teacher in that class. I would read a couple sentences or something, but I never really did much. Most of the class was the Japanese English teacher speaking in Japanese, analyzing the English language in super tiny detail. And so these kids never really learned to understand spoken English, and certainly not to use it in any way.